Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Barry, That Goat Metal Show, with a very, I'm gonna say today is a very sad day. All right, unfortunately, today, September 27th, is the day in 1986 when the late great Cliff Burton passed away in that tragic bus accident in Sweden with Metallica. Um, you know, I always say I always give thanks to this man. I mean, I was already getting into metal at one point when I was a kid, but this was the man right here who got me into playing music. And when I saw him playing bass and what I felt when I seen the way he was playing the bass and what he could do with the bass, I wanted to be like him. Of course, I didn't, get myself going in bass the way I wanted. I did enjoy playing. I still, could play a little bit with the bass, but I could never get to that level that I wanted to be like Cliff Burton. Uh, Cliff Burton was a master of his craft. He was a great musician, wrote some phenomenal songs, those instrumentals, Call to Cthulhu, Orion, To Live Is to Die, which was the last one I think he wrote before he died, or, they put into the Injustice for All album. Those are musical masterpieces. And Pulling Teeth. I mean, that has got to be one of the greatest bass solos ever. Okay. And, there's always a debate. I look at Cliff Burton as the Jimi Hendrix of bass players. And, there's a lot of great bass players, but it's always been Cliff Burton. Cliff Burton has always been my number one favorite bass player of all time. All time. There's been some great bass players along the way with Steve Harris's and Alex Webster's of the world. But unfortunately, he is the one that's always going to be the one that I say, no one could compare, to his genius. And, unfortunately, we got, got some time there, it's 37 years, uh, since he passed. And, what would have been with Metallica if he was still alive? That's always been a good debate as well. Me personally, I feel like considering his musical genius and what he was accomplishing, he would have been uh, getting Metallica's music to a higher level. And to be honest with you, I think that, again, a lot of my friends know how I felt about Metallica from back in the days. They know how I felt about the Load era. They know how I feel about Saint Anger. Death Magnetic is pretty much the only album I could tolerate. I'm not really into some of the stuff that they've been putting out. It's just, it is what it is. I can maybe have one or two songs that I could deal with, but it's always been the older stuff, Cliff Burton's, style. And been debates about, oh, he wasn't even a fan of thrash, he was more into punk. Yeah, I get it, but again, I get the whole evolution of his music. But I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's gonna go and tell me he would have allowed the Load era, the Lulu era, and all that other shit to go through. I don't care what you say. But that's just the way I feel about it. But I just wanted to make this thing. I wanted to, give a nice little shout out to Cliff Burton on this day. Rest in peace, Cliff. Your music and your legacy will always live on. And I thank you for getting me into music the way you did. Without you, I never would have started my band. And I'm always gonna give thanks to that. So that's my tribute to Cliff. All right. I'm sure everybody else is gonna be playing some music and just having a good time listening to Cliff. All right, but that's it. 37 years he's gone. All right, guys. Yeah, guys, have a great one. Rest in peace, Cliff.